right. Hey, how's it going?
Was cracking.
Oh man, it's good. It's good here. Just as I was telling everybody, we're just turning into almost quit here, your latest project. And off the bat, like that project is great. I'm glad it came at this time. Especially, it's a time that people are like a lot of people are feeling the same way. They're feeling that like almost quitting mentality, and I think this one, you may not hear it in the name of it. Almost quit might sound a little bit on the downside, but it's really an uplifting song, which I think is great.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a triumphant record. It's not meant to make people feel down. It's meant to give you that extra boost. You know what I'm saying? To be like, because we all get there. I think the a lot of times people try to act like they're inhuman and they just like, nah, I'm resilient. Nah, I got tenacity, and it's like, no, like even the greatest be wanting to quit. The thought happens, but it's the action that counts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the greatest part about this is that it does have like everybody not only has that feeling of, feeling defeated, feeling like I can't go any further,
Right.
but a lot of people still push on further. I mean, it's one of the things about humans in general. They are resilient in the sense that they're going to keep pushing and keep fighting,
Right.
but we also have to step back and realize like it gets tough at times.
It gets hella tough. 2020 is anybody's trying to act like 2020 ain't been tough is I need to see what they doing on their downtime for real, for real.
Yeah, absolutely. And and it's great because music and specifically hip hop has really always been about, storytelling. And a lot of times it's even in the sense that people are telling very personal stories about their lives.
Right.
And so I kind of want to dive into, how did B.Croc start? Where does the story begin per se with B.Croc?
Man, I've been rapping since I was about 8 years old. I started young. It was like a family thing. Me and my cousins grew up kind of battling each other in ciphers in the basement at my grandma's house. My uncle was a real renowned MC locally and around. He went by KLC. He was a part of the original IRM crew, which was one of the first hip hop crews in Minneapolis. And honestly, it was just showboating in the beginning. Like it was really just about like, like we want to impress him. It was like, if you had the uncle that who made it to the league or something, you was trying to show you could hoop too. Like that's really what it was. So I started with that, and I was the only girl out of the group. Both my cousins were boys, so I would always we'd be battling, and then of course my uncle always put this battery in their back because he would be like, "Yeah, y'all good, but B, she's the monster. She's the," and I'd be tearing them up, but I'd have that Kevin Hart going on like, "No way, like I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to," and that's really where it started. I didn't start writing lyrics, like I just freestyled a lot. That was my thing. I didn't start writing lyrics. I tried when I was like 12, 13. I kind of stopped. I didn't like it no more. I would battle in middle school and stuff. And then high school, I didn't really rap at all. I just was being a kid in school. And then college is when I really started to like write raps and like drop freestyles. And I kind of seen people like really, coming up to me like, yo, that was dope, or you should do this often, or whoop. So after they did that, I kind of was like, man, maybe I can. Because when I was doing a young 13s, this guy actually tried to manage me. And he bought me this Rockaware velour suit. I'll never forget that suit, man. It was like a wear, like jersey dress, it felt like. And I was just like, yeah, nah, I don't want to wear it. He's like, you gotta spice it up a little bit. I'm 13. So I'm like,
Right.
so at that point, I just stopped rapping. I was like, I don't want to do it then. And then
Yeah.
that's when I got about 18, 19. I was like, oh, I could do this my way. I started redoing it again, and it's been going ever since.
Absolutely. And you brought up, there's a couple things that you brought up in there. Specifically, it reminds me we just had Jaso on here earlier,
Yeah,
and she talked a lot about growing up playing basketball and growing up being the only girl out of the basketball court, and like how that drive was in there. So it's funny to see you kind of. It sounds like you kind of pulled back on it because you were like, well, I don't want to like embarrass them, but I also know that I'm gonna come because I'm trying to impress, your uncle that was doing it. So it's funny to hear that side of it.
I wouldn't even say pull back. It really, what would happen was it'd be like, I wouldn't even know. Like, I felt like my uncle was setting me up low key because like my cousin J Hard and Novo like really worked hard. Like, mind you, like my cousin Jay's mom bought him all the equipment damn near. Like, he had Pro Tools when we were super young. Then you got my cousin Nova, who's like witty. In real life, he's like Drake before Drake, and I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, for the guy, hella creative, hella dope. And me, I just was like really good off the punchlines and the bars. So it was like when we would be freestyling, when it would be just us three, they would make me feel like I was so weak. Like, they would, like, you know what I mean? Like, they would make me feel whack. And then we'd get in front of my uncle, and I'd start doing my thing, and then my uncle would be like unimpressed with them all the way, and like super like, yo, she's the one. So I felt like it was like, damn, like being good was never good for me. Like, it was like, fuck, like, oh man. But
Right.
better, because like I said, I probably only lost one like freestyle battle, and I still think it's debatable, of course, but I've only lost. So other than that, it's like, it sharpened me and it made me tougher.
Absolutely. And you know, it's definitely one of those things where, especially, I mean, if you were 8, 12 at the time, and that's probably what, 10, 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
So you're looking, you know, early to mid 2000s. It was definitely a harder space for women in hip hop at that time. But I do want to get into the fact that, you know, I think Minnesota especially, you're seeing a wave of women rappers that are just incredible coming out of the cities right now, whether it's producers or DJs like Keezy, Mixie. Then you bring in like Lexi, R.I.P. You've got you, Lioness, even up to the, I don't want to say larger known, but maybe nationally known, like Dessa, Lizzo, artists like that. So do you think Minnesota is kind of holding a lot of, I don't want to say holding back, but I mean like holding on to a lot of talent that we have here in the Twin Cities that just isn't being tapped into by the rest of the market?
Absolutely. I mean, we definitely are like the best kept secret, in my opinion. You know, obviously there's a lot of light on the city for very serious reasons, but even some of the people you named, and a couple that you didn't name, like Destiny Roberts, Solo Star, it's a handful. Like the women run shit. I'm gonna just throw that out there off the bat. Like, the women run shit. If you did a women lineup versus the men, like I got money on the women slaughtering half of the guys that you could mention. So, and that's just a light brag, right? But as in terms of like getting national attention and things like that, there were plenty of like people on their way and getting there, like R.I.P. Lexi. Lexi was definitely right there on a lot of people's radar. I feel like everybody's just like, we're all chipping away at that ceiling, you know, trying to break through. Lioness was on tour, touring around and stuff like that. Like, it's a lot of different artists that are trying to, you know, and then Minneapolis has always been heavily in the music scene in the background too, you know what I mean? And that's beyond just the hip hop genre. That's in R&B, that's in like damn near every genre you could think of. So for me, it's like you said, it makes us all more competitive. It makes us all more sharp, you know what I mean? And we know that, you know, even with the events that's taking place right now, that there's a light and attention here. So I'm hoping that artists, you know, use this time and this platform wisely and you know, really show their showmanship, you know what I mean? Because I'm from the north side of Minneapolis, but I'm proud to be from Minnesota, born and raised. There ain't gonna be no switch up when I get on of I'm from here. I'm born and raised from here, and that's just what it is. We're different. We're bred different. It's cold here, man. It's cold. You gotta
Absolutely. And we just had Samaj from Miniox on here last, and we had kind of talked about this too, how, you know, I kind of like it, you know, as much as I want to see people get the respect and the deserve, or the shine that they deserve, but it's also nice that you can walk into a local show and you're going to have a lineup that you may not know these artists, but you're going to walk away going, man, like, how did I not know about this person that's doing better than Main Street? Like, it sounds better, it's produced better, like, around the board, there's talent that's here. So it's kind of nice to have that talent here.
Right.
But I also want to see it get bigger so that, like, people can get the credit that they deserve as well.
Marching forward, man. That's all we can do is just continue to push forward, continue, you know, with platforms like yourself. Shout out to Wiseman. I see comments like, you know, different people, you know, especially from the city. We just need the help of continue to put us in a rotation, play us on the radio. You know what I mean? When things open back up and promoters are booking people, you know, don't just take the person that got the bag or the person that's fronting money to be able to help you pay for the opener that you couldn't afford, but you getting money. Like, actually put real talent on stage and let's get some things going. I think the continuation is going to continue to grow. And like, I do a lot of youth work, so for me it's like there's a lot of young people y'all probably haven't even heard of yet that I'm like, man, try to call me. But as I'm getting older and stuff, like, I get really excited about the young generation and just hoping I can continue to open doors for them to make it easier for them, give them game and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely, I feel you. We definitely want the smoke. I want the smoke. Sure. I'm definitely getting that.
I tell people this a lot because, you know, when I first moved here, I really only knew of rhyme sayers and I really only knew of atmosphere. I wasn't huge into hip hop in general as a kid growing up. But that was something that I had heard in college and in just small amounts.
Yeah.
And then I came here, and I have a lot of friends that are huge Rhyme Sayers fans, and I tell them, like, I mean, I still love that music, but it's not even close. Like, there's artists here that people don't know of that I'm constantly like, you need to check this song out. Like, I mean, Student One is one of those artists that I'm like, this is a sound I don't hear very often. Like, and with Lexi, it was the same way. It was just like these unique pockets, and then you have artists like yourself and Stilo that are just insane lyricists, Nucky, Juice. Like, you have all of these different pockets that makes Minnesota so, I don't know how to say it. It's diverse in so many different ways, and it's one of those things where we had brought up on a previous one about the so-called sound of Minnesota that I don't think there is, but I think it's good that there isn't, because we get such a wide genre of artists that are coming out.
Yeah.
But one thing you brought up here, and I want to talk a little bit about this, was, you know, how venues are running currently, how a lot of things are going, especially in light of a lot of the allegations that came out the last month, and just talking about making stages safer for artists, making spaces where artists can perform that they're not feeling attacked, or they're not feeling, you know, sexualized or whatever else. And I wanted to talk to you specifically because I want to get an artist viewpoint on this. You know, as somebody that's in the media and, you know, I do photography and stuff, it's kind of hard for me to have that type of voice or that type of opinion on it myself, but I do like to uplift the voices of others because I think it's important for people to understand from an artist standpoint what you want to see done and what the mistakes that you've seen made.
I mean, honestly, if all honesty coming out of me, right? Like I said, I'm born and raised from here. I never even knew what a Rhyme Sayers was until probably 2000 and maybe 10 or 11. And when I first started, I was managed by Mo at Studio 23. And he was, you know, right down the street from, shout out Studio 23, right down the street from Fifth Element. And I believe that's how I got that look. Mo really fought for me to be on that Soundset lineup in 2012. And honestly, like, also with even Slug and with Brother Ali, like how they kind of came into play with me was they had a lot of respect for my uncle and things of that nature. So they knew who my uncle was, and that's how that connection even happened with them. But it wasn't like something where we talk every day or, you know, they were giving me game or anything like that. It was kind of just always love when I seen them. But as far as the allegations and everything that came out, like, you know, I didn't find myself. I feel like there's multiple scenes in Minneapolis as far as like hip hop scene. Like you said, like there's the people in the pocket of people that know about Rhyme Sayers and follow that really tough and are really on that fan base. And then there's the outside hip hop community of different artists like myself and plenty of other folks, whether it's from Minneapolis to St. Paul. That kind of just had to pull ourselves up by our own, you know what I mean? And when Rhyme Sayers would do Soundset or something like that, like that's when you get the sways and the different people that would come in the city. So then we'd get an opportunity to try to bust through that gate, you know what I'm saying? And like I got a great opportunity to bust through that gate early on because Sway really took a liking, him and his producer really took a liking to me when I freestyled at the Fifth Element thing. So I got to go to New York and things of that. But like seeing what people talking about on Twitter and things like that, as far as like the call out culture and the cancel culture and things like that, like it's as far as like the allegations with women and things of that nature, like it's just unfuckwittable. It's disgusting. It's unfortunate that, you know, some of them felt like they had to do any of those things or participate in any of those activities to even, you know, be a part of the scene, which is a lot of women's story and plights in general. And I support them 100%. So for me, it's like, it's just unfuckwittable, but it's also like, I never, you know, rocked with Prof in the first place. Like I didn't rock with Prof or not rock with Prof. It was never like a, you know what I mean, a relationship there. But to hear the stories and be like, that's like, yo, like writing and typing on your phone and your notes is not going to do it. So what I want to see is like the transformation. I want to see the culture, you know, hip hop culture is ours. When I say ours, I mean people of color. And, you know, we drive that wave and we control that. And right now, I just don't feel like the representation is equal. It ain't right in the city. It's way harder as a person that organizes and throws shows myself. It gets tough if you don't want to play the game, if you don't want to be the gimmick, if you don't want to, you know, whitewash your shit. Like it could be fighting in this motherfucker. So it's like, for me, just watching all this stuff come out, it's like, damn, like the fact that they've been in control for this long and, you know, people are just now coming out and saying stuff. It's like, I'm all about action. I care about what's going to happen once all this shit is over. Because it's easy to do all that typing, like I said, on that keyboard. But I want to see, you know, what these venues going to be talking about. Are they still going to be open? Are they still going to be, you know what I mean? Because some of us artists have got harassed at these venues. You know what I mean? Like we've been treated funny at First Abs. We've been treated, you know, different. They talked about the type of crowd we bring, but they don't mind the black dollar though. They love the black dollar, but they don't want to help and support the black artists, and that shit's whack. So as far as it goes, like different people around the city, you know, all the way from, like I keep saying, St. Paul to Minneapolis, like it's so many different labels, you know, so many different independent labels, independent artists that, you know, want to throw and do amazing things. So I just hope to see, you know, everybody continue to get the opportunity. And I hope to see people to stop supporting the shit that's not real. Like I'm tired of people treating rap like it's a second life or it's a different thing. Like, oh, well, it's just rap. Like, no, nigga, you gotta be about what you rapping about, or shut up. Like, don't rap about it then, or don't talk about it. And I didn't listen to none of these people's music, in all honesty, too, as far as like Prophet, things like that. And it's like, a lot of people are saying that's what was in the music too. So it's like, I don't know how surprised. It's almost like R. Kelly, right? It's like, how surprised are you for real? Or are you just acting surprised because now everybody's saying something about it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's one of those hard things where people a lot of time talk about separating the art from the artist. And it's why I brought up in the beginning too, you know, especially within hip hop, it seems like a lot of people are talking more about their own personal experiences, their own personal stories. So it's hard to kind of talk about that, but then also say, well, that part of it wasn't my personal story. Right. That was just a story I made up. So it becomes a little bit more different, where something like, you know, I grew up on metal music. Metal was always like very, very avant-garde. It was very like showy, theatrical stuff. Right. So you knew that, you know, some of the time this was just stories. And I'm not saying that it can't be just stories in hip hop too. There's plenty of artists that do. But I think it is important to have those conversations. And like you said, realize where you have to draw those lines. And when it becomes no longer just the story, that's where that line has to be drawn. And that's where I think it's a lot of things that are coming to light, where people were rapping about things, and from all the way down, from top down, we're rapping about stuff. And then it was also being taken to that extent in real life. It wasn't just the music. And I think that's where the big change has to come.
And that's all around the board. Like, I'm not talking about just like rape culture. I'm not just talking about misogyny in hip hop. We're talking violence. We're talking everything. And like you said, we know that it's based on storytelling. We understand all that, but the accountability, you know what I mean? Like who has the right to tell the story? And what's your intention behind telling the story? Because, you know, and it don't gotta always be your story, like, but you're gonna be accountable for sharing it because you shared it. So now you gotta stand on what you've been sharing and give us clarity on that. You know what I mean? Like you said, if it turns out you've been doing more than storytelling, then you got to be held accountable. You know what I mean? And I don't like when storytellers tell one side of the story. Like, tell the whole side. Like, I tell my youngins that be rapping about, you know, shooting and killing and stuff like that. Like, okay, but tell the whole story. Tell, like, why you feel that pain, or why you want to do those things, or things like that. Or talk about when your homeboys get murdered, or talk about when your mom's on drugs. Like, don't just talk about being a kingpin selling drugs. How did it feel to have a family member or a relative on drugs? Like, you're not telling the whole story. You glorifying one piece of it and making it look beautiful. Like, I promise you, niggas is not waking up wanting to be in a trap. I promise you niggas not waking up just wanting to shoot people. Like, that's not the thing. So tell the whole story, so then you give a real scope to yourself, opposed to, oh, this is just cool, or I'm gonna just use hip hop as a way to get off my ego that I know I can't, you know, get off in any other space. It's like, that shit's just corny.
Yeah, and I think, and I mean that brings it kind of full circle to, you know, Almost Quit and what this song was, and for somebody to tell, you know, not only because one of the things that I see somebody that like I suffer with a lot of mental illnesses, it mostly just, you know, anxiety. I have really bad anxiety, but a lot of time when people, especially in mainstream hip hop, that are diving into this topic of anxiety, it's like they really dive into the addiction side of it, or they really dive into the really sad side of it,
Right.
but they don't really talk about some of the positives that come from it. I mean, I'm like, my anxiety causes me to be a lot healthier. Like, it causes me to do a lot of like kind of OCD type of things. And sometimes it gets lost in it, and you start to just, when you're only looking at one side of it, you start to focus in on that one side. And so sometimes I can't even listen to that music because it starts to like, I start to be like, man, that's like, it's just driving me down, down, down. So, and so that's why, you know, like a Mac Miller was one of those artists that really just spoke to how I felt on a lot of those things. Juice Lord is another one that latest project was just something that I really could connect to because of the way that it wove through it. But that's, so bringing it back to Almost Quit, you know, it's such a raw insight to how a lot of people are feeling in 2020. And can you kind of talk a little bit about, you know, what brought this song out for you? What really like led into writing this song?
Man, I was just at a breaking point, honestly. I made that record years ago. Like, I've been writing and recording. I did a lot of like switching of teams, and like, when I say switching of teams, really just becoming by myself. Honestly, like, people see me working with early on. I was no longer working with. I kind of felt like I was out on an island by myself. And then I tried like different, you know, folks or different management and things like that, and that shit just went left. Like, it was just like, I felt like I started to think like, is it me? Like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? To the point where, but then I realized, like I say in the song, like, they don't see what I see. Like, they don't dream what I dream. Like, a lot of people, you know, I lost along this journey, they wanted the validation, I say, or they wanted to be valid by people that were invalid to me. Like, you know, Rhyme Series couldn't validate me, not because nothing to them, but they don't speak to my culture. They didn't speak to my neighborhood. The kids in my city weren't talking about them. You know what I mean? So it's like, that wasn't on my radar to be like, oh, I need to be cool to this group of people. Because everybody knows that, right? Like, there's these gatekeepers, and this seem to be gatekeepers in Minneapolis, where it's like, if you're not, I didn't want to be the token black artist for a year. Like, that's not what I wanted to do. And I didn't want to have somebody come stand next to me that really wasn't for me. You know what I mean? So I was in the basement recording and writing, and like you said, dealing with my anxiety, dealing with my depression. And you really opened my mind to that thought of like how mental illness does have such a negative spin on it all the time. Like, there are a lot of positives. Like, I do pay attention to my breathing. I pay attention to the things I'm taking in. I pay attention a lot more just in general to like what I want to say yes to, what I want to say no to. And for myself, with Almost Quit, it was just so honest of a moment of like, man, like, I really didn't want to rap. Like, that's the whole campaign that I'm doing right now with the I think I want to rap again. Like, it sounds funny, and it's like, you know, it has a cool ring to it, but it's like, no, that's how I really feel. Like, I think I want to rap again. Like, and it's not because the skill has lost, like, I've lost any skill, but when you lose the love, when you lose the inspiration and the drive, when you're dealing with real life shit. Like, I tell people all the time, like, I don't get to be a rapper. You know what I mean? Like, I do a lot of things outside of music that I have to be accountable for in my community. So it's like, I don't get to hide behind lyrics and create an ideal image for myself. Like, Brent and BdotCroc are the same person. Like, they're not different. So for myself, it was just kind of like me laying my cards on the table. Like, damn, like, the first verse was just like, you know, talking about my coming up and how I've been battling since I was a kid. Like, since 8 years old, even though I talk about my cousin and my laugh, like, I mean that when I say being good wasn't good for me. Like, I got beat down for being good, you know what I'm saying? And even in crews, like, it would feel like, damn, like I'm showing love, I'm not getting it back. Like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why is it like that? Or, you know, trying to show people the same love, but it wasn't that way. And then in the second verse, it's more to the industry. Like, they love me in a skirt, love me more if I cared less about my worth, probably change my backpack to a purse. Like, I've had meetings with A&Rs and different people that told me, like, yo, you're so beautiful just naturally. Like, you have the body that Nicki paid for. Like, you could just, if you just change this or just do that, you know. And it's like, being a female in hip hop and also like liking women, it's like, they want me, I either gotta be like super sexy or I gotta be like super butch. Like, I gotta get super like, and it's like, nah, that's not the dichotomy of every woman walking around. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna put me in a box. Like, if I won't rap about sucking dick, I'm not gonna rap about eating pussy. Like, it's not gonna,
Right.
you know what I mean? Fuck it. And if that's what you want to rap about, that's cool. Like, there's no problem with that. It's just not for me. And it's like you said, like, that was really like my, like, it's crazy how that record, especially in this time, because me and my team was working together to try to figure out, like, okay, we knew I wanted to resurge into the scene. We knew I wanted to like rap again, right? So it's like, which record? And I got a lot of music. Like I said, I've been recording since 2015 on my own, just getting this shit out. This is really my therapy in a sense. Like, outside of going to real therapy, like, this is it. And it's like, I just was like, man, almost quit is like you said, like right now, like shit, 2020 will make somebody want to quit, whatever you doing. Like, we seen everybody get stripped of their title this year. You know what I mean? Like, basketball players weren't able to play basketball. Nobody cares about how much money you got right now. Nobody cares about how many cars you got. Like, you got to talk about real life. People are dealing with real life shit. We in a real life pandemic right now. So it's like, what else do you have to bring to the table other than things that don't belong to you, which is status symbols, your car, your jewelry.
Right.
Bring your spirit, bring your soul. And that's what I did with Almost Quit. I just gave everybody like a dive into my mental state. You know what I mean? That it's a constant battle, as you know, with mental. It's like, it's an everyday exercise and a muscle you got to work out, just like the gym. You got to just every day kind of tell yourself, like, man, like, they don't see what I see. Like, they don't dream what I dream. Like, damn, I almost quit. Like, and I said it, and to think I almost quit, this is my ticket. You know what I mean? I almost quit. Like, you be shook. You be like, damn, like, how come this is my, like, I'm really actually good. Like, why would I quit? But there's hella reasons. And
right. And I think that's really important to talk about because we've said numerous times here, it's that idea that, like, you need to recognize when you're feeling that way, but also recognize that there are ways to pull yourself out of it. And not only, you know, like you said, you were kind of pulling back and realizing, like, these are the things that I want to do, so I'm going to do them. And if my team's not behind it, then I need a new team. And so, like, that's a really valuable thing, in my opinion, to have that. A lot of people don't realize how little validation you need from anybody else.
Man.
So the people that are really pushing out, and you may get, you know, 1 million followers on Instagram, but like, if those 1 million followers don't care about the next song you put out, then like, it's just empty space to you.
If they don't buy a shirt, my uncle, he's fun. It's funny you said that. My uncle, he does like music stuff and like runs a venue and all that. And like, he told me a long time ago, he was like, niece, you know, he had a girl that like was begging him to sign her. And he was like, you know, she be on Instagram. She got her ass out, titties out, like, boom. She want them like Instagram model type vibes, right? She got like 300,000 followers. And he said to her, like, you know what? If you can get 10,000 people to buy a 99-cent single, like, let's put out this single. If you get 10,000 people to buy it, that's a small percentage of your fan base on Instagram. If you can get 10% of them to buy that, you know what I mean? Then I'll sign you. He said, Niso, I tell you, she didn't even sell 100 singles, not 100. So it's like, I don't care about them numbers. Like, that look great and all that, but like, I'm exactly on what you're on. Like, if I can get 20 people to buy a CD, 20, if I only got 3,000 followers, but out of 3,000 of them, 100 of them, 200, 300 are willing to listen to my music, willing to buy my merch, willing to come to a show. Like, that's what I care about. Numbers, you know, people inflate them motherfuckers. They be, you know, about these streaming farms, all of the different techniques. Like, it don't matter. Like, it shows up at the end of the day. The real gonna show. Like, you know, we see a lot of people with a lot of followers can't even get, you know what I mean, 20
right.
to come to your show. Like, how does that work? Like, yeah.
Right. And that's a big thing, you know, and this kind of ties into one of the questions I had for you here, you know, live shows and the ability to bring a fan base versus just having a presence online or, you know, whatever else it may be. You know, I remember, and I'm not positive on this because I believe it was you, but the first time I saw you was opening for Lyric or with Lyric for the game.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I was going back and I was like, I can't remember which show was the first, but I'm pretty sure that's the first time I saw you.
Yeah.
And I remember you coming out and having like you just took control of things. But then I definitely remember the last show you did with Brother Ali and Student One, because I remember you having this type of energy on stage and just having, you know, coming out in the Minnesota jersey and being able to work a crowd. So what have you seen, you know, grow over the years with your crowd show, and where do you see yourself kind of wanting to go with it?
Man, live stage is everything for me. Like, in all honesty and actuality, like I always tell people, I wish I was like, you know, a part of that Cole and Kendrick time where like you didn't have to be really on social media like that. Like you could disengage and just like do your shit. But like for me, performing live is like my element. It's like it brings me back to freestyling, you know what I mean? It's like on the spot action, even though I'm, you know what I mean, I know the lyrics and I'm rapping on beat and stuff like that. It's really like an outer body experience. That's another form of therapy for me, and like exercise. It's like when you talk about that lyric show, it's like sink or swim. I'm nervous before every show. If I'm not nervous, then I'm even more nervous. You know what I mean? Like, and for myself, it's like what I see coming is like every time I perform, every time I open up or perform, and especially if I meet like a mainstream artist or somebody of the sort, they always say to me like, I don't really have like any like critique for you. I just feel like more people need to see you. Like you just more exposure. Like, you know what I mean? Because I didn't got in front of crowds that were like 10. I'm gonna rock the show whether it's 5 people in the crowd or 500 people or 5,000 people. Like I just love being on stage. So for myself, I see hopefully in the next year or so, you know what I mean, once everything gets back to normal, like trying to tour, trying to, you know what I mean, get in front of more people, continuing to build my audience and trying to grow it, you know what I mean? But that's really it. Like you said, like I always tell people, it's almost like I joke with Jake and them at the Wiseman all the time about like my game. Like if I compared it to like sports, like I'm kind of like Kawhi, like Leonard. And when I say that, I mean like I don't really want to talk about the game. I just want to play. Like I want to play and you see me in action. I don't want to be like, yo, I'm the coldest female. Like everybody else is going to for me. They're going to say all that. But I'll be like, oh, if you would have been like, I ain't never, I'd be like, just come to a show. Like, and then if you see me at the show and you like, I'm not feeling that, it's like, all right, you know, then we'll have a conversation. But it's like most of the time, I don't even tell people, and then they come to my show and they be like, you didn't tell me you was like this good though. And I'll be like, cause we all know like that person that be like, yo, I'm the coldest or I'm the whatever, like you automatically for whatever reason create bias and don't want them to be as good as they said they were because they didn't already try to fish you into it. So for myself, it's like, that's where I'm at. I'm kind of like, nah, just come see me at the show. You know what I mean? And then we could go from there type shit. Yeah.
Right. If you're gonna say you're the greatest, then you set the bar for yourself. Like,
yeah, you got it. Like you can't. That be the game. Like you tell your family, yo, you know what I mean? I'm dropping 20 every game. The game the family come to, you only get 5 off, and you know most of it's from the free throw line. You know what I mean? Maybe 2 assists. Like that's how I always end up. So me, I'd rather let my skills show. I've always been like that. I've never been like Jake told me I'm so humble it's fake. Like he think like people probably don't believe it, but it's like it's genuinely who I am. I just prefer when we get into it. All right, now it's time. If it's time for battle, it's time for play. Now it's time. All that talking and all that is irrelevant.
absolutely, and it's one of the things, you know, and you hear it a lot of time from older members within the scene. You know, I remember one of the first interviews I ever did was with Dwynell Rowland, and he told me that Half Dozen told him the first thing he told him was make sure that you like gain 5 fans every show. If you can just gain 5 fans every show, yep. So like work on your live show, work on meeting people, work on those type of things, because that's what's gonna take you further than, you know, sprawling out like a bunch of money in front of you, sprawling out in front of a car. Like meeting those people, that's going to take you so much further. Right. And it's something that I've continued to do even as just a media personnel, is just learn on how to, I mean, first off, I got to learn how to talk to people because I'm going to be doing interviews and stuff. Right. But just learning how to network and being genuine in yourself, I think goes a lot further, I've found anyways, than trying to be like, oh man, we had these names on our show before. We had this type of thing. People don't care about that. They want to know what your idea is and what your authenticity is.
Nobody cares. Well, the resume is great, but can you show and prove? If I bring you in a room, are you able to do what you need to do? And that's what it's all about. And a lot of people, you know, we're in the age of, you know, everybody shows, nobody does. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody shows, everybody looks like they do something, but when it comes time to really do it, do it though.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I want to do now is just kind of jump into the heart of this show, which is our quarantine questions. It's just some short answer questions about, you know, life in quarantine and what we're all kind of going through.
Word.
So first off, I want to give you, you know, the easy question off the bat is just who's most on your playlist right now?
That's tough. Outside of listening to myself right now, I'm listening to a lot of like our music. So I'm listening to Juice. I'm listening to Stilo's new stuff. Khalik. I really be trying to listen to my peers as of late. That's been my thing, to like listen to my people. I still be listening to Solo Star's Love Hangover. Who else am I listening to? I really like Boogie. Boogie from Compton. I really enjoy. I met him at the Sway when I did Sway, and Ralio actually really put me on the Boogie all the way. But like, yeah, I really like Boogie's album. I think Everything for Sale was hella underrated, and he talks about, like, you know, when we talk about mental health and all of that stuff. I'm listening to that. I still haven't listened to that new Cole yet. That's really it. I don't be listening to music like I used to all the time. Like, I listen to a lot of like R&B and shit like that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's you know, there's I just had a thought and it just went right out. But it was talking about Boogie.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that I had never heard of him until he opened for Joey Badass. Actually, was the tour when he was on tour with him.
Yeah.
And I'd never known, but everybody kept saying like, "Oh, I'm excited to see Boogie open for this." And then I was like, man, then he was crazy. And then he played Soundset, and I was like, you know, like, that's a show I gotta watch him here, because I already saw what he can do. So, so the next question I have for you, and this is my personal favorite question, because I've always been a weirdo since I grew up, and like, as somebody who lived alone, I always kind of am doing a lot of weird stuff by myself. But quarantine kind of forces everybody into that world of living by yourself.
Yeah.
So what's one thing that you've like caught yourself doing that you've been like, man, what the fuck am I doing right now?
Man, during quarantine, man, I'm trying to think. You'd have to give me an example of something you deem as weird first for me.
So like my big thing is, so I tend to sing a lot, which is like, I'll just be singing those songs and stuff. But I'll catch myself like making really weird faces when I sing.
Yeah.
So like, that's one thing that like, I'll catch myself in like a window or like in my phone that I'm just like making a really weird face. I'll just be like I don't know how I even thought that was the face I was making.
For myself, I be just getting dressed and like looking at myself in the mirror. Like, I'll be like putting on some kicks that I done bought during quarantine or something, and just be like getting fresh as hell to go nowhere. Like, like being like, yo, then take the little mirror pic real quick. Like, I became a hell of a photographer over this quarantine break. Like, I was never like a selfie taker. I never thought I was photogenic, but now I'm hella photogenic. Like, I'm hella just like angles on point. My dress game probably better. Like, I didn't have time to be like, what color palettes do I like to go together? Like, just, man, that's other than that, and like trying to cook, I think I'm like a chef. I be trying to chef too. That's about it. Those are the two like weird things. I don't know if that's considered weird, but I be like trying some weird shit out together. Like, my dad just put me on some, he said cheese Doritos and Snickers. I'm like, what? Some high shit gotta be. Like, it has to.
It's that sweet and salty thing.
Yeah. Not really the sweet and salty type, but yeah, that'd be the weirdest thing I do. Definitely, is probably like just get dressed for no fucking reason.
Yeah, well, I'll send you some photos of. I just made dinner tonight. I made some lamb chops. I've been gardening, so I've been like growing my own fresh herbs. But I'll send you. I've never eaten lamb chops or cooked them before, and it was like, it turned out like better than I could have imagined. So I was like, I'm starting to hone this cooking thing in.
Yo, I'm telling you, I was cooking his steak. Me and the homie was cooking his steak. I thought I was Ruth Chris in this motherfucker. I was just putting the butter, taking a spoon and dropping the butter. Man, trust me, lamb chops is my new, like, because I wasn't eating beef. I didn't drink and eat beef for like 2 years. And during that time, I discovered lamb because that was like the closest I could get to beef. And I was like, man, and it was just fire. So ever since then, I've been like on lamb chops. That's my shit.
Man, I'll send you this because this turned out real good. I did it with mint and rosemary and just threw that in there and just.
See?
So speaking of foods, this is the next question: is your diets are a pretty heavy part of people's lives, early on in the year, every year. But with quarantine hitting right in March, it kind of threw diets out the window.
And people up. Some people,
Yeah.
I lost weight actually, but a lot of people have blown the fuck up.
Yep, and I'm the same way. So I've dropped about 40 pounds during quarantine, but I'm feeling real good about that. But I also find myself eating, those comfort foods too. So what's one thing that you've either overeaten or that like you just can't get enough of during quarantine?
Yo, I love candy. That's my biggest downfall. I'm probably gonna lose all my teeth. I'm gonna have to buy them veneers and be looking like these niggas with the horse teeth out here. Like, I love frozen candy though. So I love to put my candy in the freezer. So sour punch straws, watermelon flavor, cherry, like green, it don't matter. If I put them in the freezer, they're getting 8. Like I be killing them. I'm trying to think what else do I be killing, like my quarantine stack. I say that, or I like wasabi almonds, like almond nuts, wasabi nuts. Them shits is fire too. Like I be tearing them up, man. It's weird. Like I used to always eat that stuff, but not at the rate I do now. But even with like losing weight and stuff, like I'm like, I could give up everything probably, but never candy. Like I love candy, and I'm not like a chocolate person. Like I don't like chocolate like that. Like I gotta really be in a mood for chocolate. But like any like sour straws, Sour Patch Kids, like any of those things. I'm telling you, if you never threw no candy in the freezer, it's dangerous. Anybody watching, throw your candy in the freezer. That's probably why my teeth breaking off. Throw your candy in the freezer. You know what I mean? Wait till they get a nice little, temp. Take them out while you about to watch a movie, one of your little quarantine jugs. That motherfuckers you gonna pop them like Skittles, I'm telling you.
It's funny because I'm the opposite. I'm like chocolate is the big thing, but I do the same thing. I throw it in the freezer.
Oh yeah.
So I like
my mom do that.
It's always like that. But it's funny because I used to give my buddy a bunch of shit growing up because he always had like Starburst and like Skittles and Sour Patch Kids. Like that was his thing. And he'd always have like bags and bags of it in his room. And I'm like, this is, and he'd always offer it to me. And I'm like, this is like my least favorite candy. Like this is the type of stuff that I got to be really in the mood to go to like the sour stuff.
Hey, so that was perfect because y'all wouldn't eat each other's shit.
Right, exactly. But it was always funny having that. And it's the same thing. Like we go to the store and I'm like buying like Reese's peanut butter cups and he's buying like sour worms. That was what he always ate, with the sour gummy worms.
Fire. Put those all of those.
Yeah. So 2020. This is the next question here. Is 2020? We talked about it a lot in here. It's been really stressful for a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons.
Yep.
And we're only getting into August now, and there's still an election to come. There's a possible second wave of this virus. Yeah. Everything else that's coming. So what's one thing that you found that's helped you kind of like de-stress, decompress, and kind of re-energize?
Working out completely. Working out outside. Like not being able to go to the gyms being closed. Like doing, like I love riding my bike and listening to music. I love being near water. So like I actually started running outside. I hate running period, right? But I used to run 3 miles a day in the gym. Like I would run 3 like every other day, like 9 miles a week. But then when that got shut down, I was like, fuck. And I always didn't like running outside because I'm not like an outdoor person like that. I don't like bugs and shit like that. So like I started running outside and I was just like, something about the trail and the nature and the like different things was like calming and peaceful. So like I do that. And really being outside in general in a different way, right? Because like everybody can be outside now, but it's like not like how you used to. Like you can't just go in a place and eat, you know what I mean? Or you can't just whatever. So like you might, you utilize things in your own neighborhood or in your community, maybe in a way you never did. Like I remember we tanned outside my homegirl crib, and it's like she's never tanned out. You would only think to bring a towel out and do that if you go to like a beach or something like that. But like Niggas is tanning, like, forget it. Sun's out here, you know, bring your laptop out, little music, you know what I mean? Like, and just chill and vibe. Like, that's really been that for me, like, just taking in nature and, like, being still. Because everything's stacked, like, everything's at a standstill at the time. So that's, yeah, that exercise.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the same way. For me, it's kind of a nostalgic thing too, because I grew up on a farm way out in it's called Luxembourg. It's outside of Green Bay in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So for me, I've always been somebody that loved being outside. We used to, like, for hockey, we would run through our woods, and we had this big trail that my dad set up so we'd always run through there. And now I do the same thing. I just throw my headphones on and I'll go bike. I live right on Battle Creek trails there. So, you know, I'm over here, and it's just nice to be outside, to be taking in, you know, you're biking by ponds and creeks and stuff like that. And it's so relaxing. And I love seeing so many more people getting back in touch with nature, getting back outside, and just, you know, especially with the less amount of pollution going on now, with people not driving as much, not working from home, doing all these things, it's really becoming more serene and becoming more of a it's such a calming thing. I do the same thing, you know, especially with my mental health.
Yeah.
Just being able to walk out there and just, like, be away from the crowds and everything, like, that calms me down for sure.
No, yeah, it's a vibe, man. It's a vibe to be outside, and I'm probably gonna take a walk when we get off.
Well, hey, if you ever need a biking partner, like, I'm down for it. I've been biking a lot more lately, and I'm down to check out some new trails.
Like the farthest.
The farthest, I mean, lately, probably about 6 miles. But, like, when I was at my prime, I think 20 miles was what I was doing, like, daily.
My homeboy Juice, shout out Juice. He had me bike. We actually ended up biking all the way to, like, from over north to Lake Street in Chicago, where everything was going down, and we ended up biking like 22 miles that day. It was tough. I ain't gonna sit here and act like that was something I could do every day, but like you said, once you get an emotion of it, you kind of just get to going, and you got to get home. So it's like, once you get to that,
Yeah.
you got to go back. Like, there's no stop it. So yeah, I'm gonna hold you to that biking thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nucky was in here earlier. We've been disc golfing lately. We went out once, and he at least he told me he loved it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just, you know, you're walking up and down these trails, and you're on these hills and everything. It's a good workout, and it's kind of fun. And I think that's the big thing with biking outside for me.
Yeah.
Is, like, when you're biking in the gym, it's hard to, like, keep your mind focused on biking for so long.
Right.
But when I was younger, I remember I did the same thing as you. I was way out in the country, though, so I was just biking these roads, and it was about 8 miles out, and then I was about another 7. I was right about 15 miles, but then I realized I was 15 miles from home.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I got to turn around. So I started biking down to this other town, and I was about 4 miles from home, and I had to call my mom and be like, my legs are giving out. Like, I need someone to come pick me up because I can't do it.
I can't go no further.
All right, so the last question I have for you is, you know, we're starting to see here in Minnesota, some stuff is kind of, it's reopening. We're starting to see people, you know, even with masks, we're able to see, you know, restaurants open up a little bit, and hopefully we're going to see some venues opening up soon too. But what's one thing that currently, like, you can't wait to kind of come back into society?
The movies. I miss the movies. Like, you know, we Netflixing and chilling, or we watching, you know, all the shows on everything. But, like, I used to take myself on $5 Tuesdays as a mental health workout. Like, for myself, I would take myself to a movie by myself or with somebody, but usually by myself, no problem. And it's something about going to see, like, a film, getting the popcorn in the theater, maybe a slushie, you know, some of that candy we talked about. Like, I love that. That was a part of my resume of going to watch a good film, and I definitely miss the movie theater. Like, that's probably one of them. I don't really miss, like, clubs and shit like that. Like, that shit's just like, all right. People still been clubbing anyway.
Right.
People been wilding out here, so I'm just like, but I admit they still ain't opened the movie theater up. I mean, I miss sports for sure. Being able to go to sporting events, like my nephew and them basketball season got cut short. So being able to go to their games, football, basketball, just stuff like that. Like I miss the community events and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I echo both of those, especially movies. Like that was something that as a kid, even we would try because when everybody was coming home from college, we would always try to go to like a movie during the holidays.
Yeah.
That was just something we did as a family, and it's something that I always liked. And then, like you said, the big thing for me on why I like them better than like watching a movie at home is I never pay attention at home. Like it's just there. Like I just watched X-Men Apocalypse today, and I couldn't tell you what that movie was about. Like I barely watched it. And so like when I get what's that?
It watched you and you didn't watch it.
Right. And so like that when you get to the theater and you have to turn your phone off and put it away for a little bit, like that's just a disconnect where you can just actually watch the film and you get away from your phone for 2 hours and it kind of
Yep.
Absolutely. So, hey, the last thing I want to do here is kind of turn it over to you. Let you tell anybody about anything coming up lately, any new music, merch, any projects that you're working on, or maybe shows in the future.
Right. I want to do a live show on like live, something like this. I haven't figured out how I'm going to format that yet, but I definitely want to do that to release some more music. You can listen to Almost Quit on all streaming platforms right now. Apple Music was slow with getting it. I don't know why, but it's on there now. Spotify. I do got a merch website coming out. I'm probably going to be announcing in the next week or so. Hopefully by the end of the weekend, everything will be, because the merch be booming, man. Like we got to get you some merch. You know what I mean? We'll work that out. We'll figure that out.
No, I'll wear it. I'll wear it on here for sure.
Booming. So we're going to have a merch site coming. Video for Almost Quit was supposed to be shot, but man, one of my people in my team actually got COVID. So we had to shut it down for a second, but hopefully we'll be able to get back in the swing of things with that in the next few weeks. So hopefully a video for Almost Quit and just more music, man. Probably some more freestyles. You don't know what to expect. I just think I want to rap again. That's, good for my fans and bad for rappers. Like I want to rap and I got a lot of shit I want to rap about. So it's like, just stay tuned. You know what I mean? Freestyles, music, etc.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to everything. I will hold you to the biking as well. We got Nucky in here. Well, you can come disc with us as well. Get the workout that way, and we'll see what goes on. I'll send you over the recipe too for these lamb chops that I make. Cause
lamb chops. Where did you get them from?
Cub Foods. I did not realize they were there, but they were like what's it called? Like the organic ones, and they were like $8.99 a pound or something. It was fairly cheap for.
They're small. I don't like the super big joints. I've been eating like the.
No, they're. I'll send you the photos of it, but it is they were like the perfect size. I had 2 of them with some potatoes, and like it was just perfect.
And can I give Radio be acting like I won't give him a verse. He get on my nerves. Like, bro, he has some of my best verses ever. Like, can I get a beat pack? I'm putting him on spot on upcoming hip hop. Can I get a beat pack? And Nucky said he gonna bike with us, so we got.
Yep.
It's gonna be.
We'll get the whole crew together.
On that bike trip. That's who everybody. For some reason, everybody wants me to go against Nucky. They want me and Nucky to go at it because I think Nucky's just so dope, like lyrically, that they just want to see that. So me and Nucky,
I think
happen.
I think both of you guys also have that ability to freestyle as well. That's when I was talking with Nucky, I told him. I mean, the first time I ever even heard him rap, I believe, was I saw him at Lyrics Soda Soul, but then the first time I ever really paid attention, me and him and Juice were just chilling at 7th, waiting for somebody to come on stage, and a beat was playing, and Nucky just started freestyling, and I was like, that's better than like most of the stuff I hear today, and it's just him like just going off the top.
A lot of people can't do that, man. It surprises me. It's kind of crazy, but a lot of people can't do that. But yeah. I'm here for it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here for it. Jake and them all try to put me against, like, they really want us to go at it. Like, they want, like, a no-name J. Cole vibe to happen between us. Not on that. We enjoy friendly competition. You know what I mean?
Hey, we'll do upcoming hip-hop. We'll come out, we'll shoot it, we'll just cipher it, and we'll have some fun with it.
For sure. You pick the beats, and me and Nucky just go off. I'm with it.
Oh man, that's
Nucky, I'm with it.
I'm with it. We'll get Wiseman. They got a big studio. We'll throw the whole thing together.
You already know Joe in here somewhere talking about he ready. You already know he's ready to produce the whole thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, the other thing I was going to tell you before we get off here is the St. Paul Farmers Market. So if you're looking for a good place to get like lamb or fresh meats, there's a spot there. I forget what they're called, but that's where I've been going lately is to the farmers market, and they got like chicken, lamb. I think they got some beef there. I grew up on a beef cattle farm, so I always get it from home. But yeah, so if you just and I can show you that I go there every weekend. So if you ever want to come out to the St. Paul Farmers Market, I'll show you some dope spots there too.
Man, put me on. I'm with it. I need it. I want them. I don't be liking the chicken I be trying to make chicken wings, man, and they be like, I don't like them giant looking joints. I be needing the regular, like hot ones. You watch hot ones? Like,
Yep.
they got the perfect size wings. I'm like, where do y'all be getting them from? Like,
Absolutely. Well, hey, I just want to say thank you again for sitting down with us. It was great to talk to you. Like I said, I'm really excited to see what's coming next, and hopefully, quarantine's gonna chill out here, and we're not gonna see the second wave, and we can get back to like hanging out in person, doing some fun stuff.
For sure. I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate you and Upcoming Hip Hop for giving me this platform and the opportunity too.
Absolutely. Well, hey, have a good night. Go for the walk. Enjoy the nice weather tonight.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. You too. Enjoy. Send me them lamb chops.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it right after this. Have a good night.
All right, peace.